Imagine having a mirror image of yourself, someone who knows what you are thinking without you ever needing to speak a word. This was the reality for June and Jennifer Gibbons, identical twins born in Barbados in 1963. They moved with their family to Wales as young children, but they were not like other kids. As the only black family in their small town, they faced a lot of bullying and struggled to fit in. This experience seemed to push them further into their own private world, a world where only they were welcome, and where their unique, powerful bond became their only refuge from the outside. Their connection was more than just a typical twin bond. It was something deeper, more complex, and ultimately more isolating. From a very early age, they began to withdraw from everyone around them. They stopped speaking to their parents, their siblings, and their teachers. They would only communicate with each other, often in hushed, rapid whispers that no one else could understand. They moved in perfect synchrony, walking in step as if they were one person. Their silence was a fortress, a powerful statement to a world they felt had rejected them first. It was a choice they made together, a pact of silence against everyone else. This behavior was baffling to their family. Their parents, Gloria and Aubrey Gibbons, tried everything they could to encourage their daughters to speak and interact with others. They loved them dearly but felt helpless as the girls slipped further away. In school, their silence was mistaken for a lack of intelligence, but this couldn't have been further from the truth. They were bright, observant children, but they refused to participate. They would stand frozen, refusing to read, write, or even make eye contact with their teachers. Their silence was not empty. It was a deliberate and powerful choice, a wall they built brick by brick. The mystery of their silence only deepened as they grew older. People wondered what was happening inside their shared world. Were they scared? Were they playing a long, elaborate game? Or was their bond so intense that it left no room for anyone else? Their story became a local fascination, a puzzle that no one could solve. They were known simply as the Silent Twins, two girls who lived side by side yet were completely cut off from the society around them. Their silence was their identity, but it would also become the very thing that led them down a tragic and difficult path, far from the quiet life they had created for themselves. Behind their wall of silence, June and Jennifer were living rich, imaginative lives. They developed their own private language, a high-speed version of Bajan Creole that was almost impossible for others to decipher. This secret tongue was their key to a world no one else could enter. In the privacy of their shared bedroom, they would talk and laugh for hours, their words tumbling out in a rush of shared understanding. This language was more than just communication. It was a symbol of their unity and their complete separation from everyone else. It was the sound of their exclusive two-person club, a language of the soul that only they could speak. Their creativity didn't stop with language. The twins were gifted writers, pouring out their thoughts, dreams, and frustrations into diaries they kept hidden. They wrote thousands of pages, documenting their daily lives, their complex relationship, and their innermost feelings. These diaries revealed a turbulent inner world, filled with a mixture of intense love and deep resentment for each other. They saw each other as both a protector and a jailer. They also wrote elaborate stories, poems, and even full-length novels. They would spend their days crafting tales of love, crime, and drama, sending their manuscripts to publishing houses, hoping for a breakthrough that never came. Their bedroom was their sanctuary and their stage. They created intricate games and plays with their dolls, acting out complex scenarios that often mirrored their own feelings of being trapped. These games were not just simple childhood pastimes. They were a way for them to explore the world and their emotions in a safe, controlled environment. They could be anyone they wanted to be in these stories, popular, loved, or powerful. It was a stark contrast to their public personas as silent, unmoving figures. In their room, with their stories and their secret language, they were the masters of their own universe, free from the judgment of the outside world. Ultimately, this private world was both a blessing and a curse. It allowed them to survive years of isolation and misunderstanding, nurturing their creative spirits in the process. However, it also deepened their dependence on each other to a dangerous degree. They were so intertwined that it became impossible to imagine one existing without the other. Their shared reality was so complete that it prevented them from ever forming individual identities. Their bond was a source of great comfort, but it was also a cage from which neither could escape. They were trapped together in the beautiful, tragic world they had built for themselves. As the twins entered their teenage years, their isolation began to take a darker turn. Their creative writing and games were not enough to contain their growing frustration. They started to commit petty crimes, including shoplifting and arson. This was not just teenage rebellion. It was a desperate cry for help, a way to make the outside world finally notice them. Their actions were clumsy and often got them caught, leading to more and more involvement with the authorities. Therapists, social workers, and doctors were all brought in to try and understand the silent twins, but none could break through their wall. They simply could not comprehend the depth of their bond. The authorities were at a loss. They saw two young women who refused to cooperate, who were a danger to themselves and others, but they couldn't find a way to help them. Separating them was tried briefly, but the result was catastrophic. Both June and Jennifer became almost catatonic, completely shutting down without the presence of the other. It became clear that separating them was not the answer, yet keeping them together seemed to fuel their destructive behavior. The legal system struggled to find a suitable solution for such an unusual case. They were not seen as typical criminals, but their behavior was too serious to ignore. In 1982, at the age of 19, their crime spree led to them being arrested and tried. The court decided that their behavior was a result of a severe personality disorder. Instead of being sent to a normal prison, they were committed to Broadmoor, a high-security psychiatric hospital. This was a devastating turn of events. They were now trapped not just by their own silence, but by the walls of an institution designed for some of the country's most dangerous criminals. They were surrounded by people with severe mental illnesses, and they were subjected to powerful antipsychotic medications that left them lethargic and unable to write. Life in Broadmoor was a living nightmare for June and Jennifer. The vibrant, creative world they had built in their bedroom was gone, replaced by the sterile and oppressive routine of the hospital. For 12 long years, they were kept there, their case periodically reviewed, but their freedom never granted. It was a period of immense suffering, documented in their diaries. They lost their creative spark, and their relationship became even more strained. They felt that one of them had to be sacrificed for the other to ever be free. The institution that was meant to help them had become their prison, pushing their mysterious bond to its breaking point. During their long years in Broadmoor, June and Jennifer came to a chilling conclusion. They believed their intense bond was the reason they were trapped, both mentally and physically. They felt that they could not both survive in the outside world. One was holding the other back. Together, they made a secret pact. They decided that for one of them to be free and live a normal life, the other one had to die. It was a shocking and tragic agreement, born from years of desperation. The journalist Marjorie Wallace, who had befriended them, was told about this pact. Jennifer calmly stated, "Marjorie, I'm going to have to die." She had decided she would be the one to make the sacrifice. The day of their long-awaited release from Broadmoor finally arrived in March 1993. They were being transferred to a lower security clinic in Wales, a step closer to freedom. On the bus journey, Jennifer rested her head on June's shoulder and told her, "At last we're out." She seemed peaceful, but she was also lethargic. By the time they arrived at the new clinic, Jennifer was unresponsive. She was rushed to a nearby hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after. The cause of death was a mystery. An autopsy revealed she had died from acute myocarditis, a sudden and severe inflammation of the heart. There was no evidence of drugs or poison. Jennifer's death was as mysterious as her life had been. It seemed she had willed herself to die, fulfilling the pact she had made with her sister. In the days following Jennifer's death, something remarkable happened. June began to speak, slowly at first, but then with growing confidence. She started talking to the doctors, to her family, and to Marjorie Wallace. It was as if a switch had been flipped. The silence that had defined her entire life was finally broken. She explained that Jennifer had given up her life so that she, June, could be free. It was a final, devastating act of love from one twin to the other. June was eventually released and began to build a new life for herself, free from the shadow of her twin. She lives a quiet life in West Wales, no longer bound by the silent pact that had defined her for so long. The story of the silent twins remains a haunting and powerful tale about identity, love, and sacrifice. It raises profound questions about the nature of human connection, and the price of individuality. While June found her voice, it came at the ultimate cost, the life of her other half, her mirror image, Jennifer. The mystery of their bond endures, a sad and beautiful testament to a connection too powerful for this world.